I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
We have such sights to show you.
Yeah, well, you know, that's just like your opinion, man.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Check out the big brain on Brad.
I guess I was probably returning videotapes.
I am big. It's the picture that got small.
Who cares?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Movie Roulette Tuesday podcast. In honor of the mysterious film I have chosen, I'd like to read you a mysterious poem written by the film's mysterious director. Are you ready? Are you ready?
Yeah.
You have to say yes.
Yes.
When I ask, are you ready?
I don't know. It sounded like you were reading.
No, I'm telling you.
Oh,
You're
yes.
ruining this. Here comes the mysterious poem.
I didn't say if I was ready.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, great. Through the darkness of future past, the magician longs to see one chance out between two worlds. Fire, walk with me, us, this podcast. It's time. This is Rachel.
This is Carl.
This is Matt, and that has to be the
What?
least imposing
Come on.
rendition I've ever heard of that statement.
Well, I wasn't going to get like all super dramatic.
It needs gravitas.
I'm sorry, I don't have that. I didn't realize I was auditioning.
You didn't sound like the one-armed man.
Well, I don't.
No.
I'm not Mike. Anyway, I'm picking a movie, if you haven't guessed yet, by David Lynch. We are continuing our theme of forgotten dreams. But my shakeup is it has to be directed by an auteur, someone who has a very specific style. You think of, we talked about this, I think, last week. You think of Hitchcock, Tarantino. I immediately thought of David Lynch.
Tim Burton, Wes Anderson.
People who have a very distinct tone or style. Mm-hmm. And David Lynch falls in that category. So I immediately...
Michael Bay.
Well, you know, I don't know if he's an auteur, but he definitely has a style.
I would never call him an auteur.
An auteur. I did give this some good consideration, but the movie I am choosing was actually the first one that popped into my head. And then I kind of went around the world, you know, thought about, I did Ask AI and thought about things. Other contenders were The Pianist by Roman Polanski. He's got a very distinct style. Mm-hmm. The Master by Paul Thomas Anderson. Now, I don't know the director Paul Thomas Anderson, and I didn't bother to look up what else he did because I didn't pick the movie. But this was a movie about a cult very similar to Scientology. I think that Philip Seymour Hoffman is in it, Joaquin Phoenix. Mm-hmm. But I didn't see that. I didn't pick it either. And then there was The Fountain by Darren Aronofsky, which I know we discussed, the three of us, last week, and we didn't feel that were classified as forgotten dreams.
No.
But I think Aronofsky is a very stylized director. You can kind of tell.
That you don't enjoy.
Well, you know what?
Unless it's Black Swan.
And I liked The Whale. So
you did like The Whale.
There's a couple of things. Maybe if he keeps going, I'll come around. I don't know, but there's a lot from him that I don't like.
Del Toro.
Del Toro would be one.
Guillermo del Toro,
sure.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I didn't pick any of those. I picked the movie about forgotten dreams that I picked was David Lynch's 2001 Mulholland Drive. Written and directed by David Lynch, starring Naomi Watts, Laura Herring, and Justin Theroux. The plot. This is what.
Let me get my popcorn. Hang on.
I know.
I'm excited for this one.
Let me just read you the little synopsis that I found that I thought was pretty good. A woman with amnesia and an aspiring actress become entangled in a complex mystery that intertwines their personal desires and the ultimate collapse of their dreams, focusing on the intersection of fantasy and reality in Hollywood. So it addresses the themes of the fragility of identity, lost ambition, the tragic pursuit of fame, and I think embedded in all that are an actress's forgotten or really trampled, disillusioned dreams. Now, I haven't seen this movie in, I want to say, probably 20 years. I'm pretty sure.
We've watched it. I've certainly seen it more recently.
You have. I don't think I have. Yeah. I watched this movie, I think, one time. And I was not in a place where I was feeling it. I don't know how else to say it. I was just like, what is going on? I don't understand.
So is this one of those, that wasn't for me?
Yeah. I'm like, what? And David Lynch is tough. The older I get, the more I appreciate what he does.
But we've also talked about the fact that you prefer a more obvious narrative.
I like linear storytelling.
Yeah.
Don't bullshit me. That's the thing. I don't want to be bullshitted. You got to be able to convey something to me.
Sure.
You got to tell me what what are you trying to say to me? And sometimes I think with those non-linear stories, that falls by the wayside. However, having said that, David Lynch has been very forthright in his entire career saying, that's not what I'm about. I'm not about telling you a linear story. I'm really more about making you feel a certain way and creating mystery and allowing you to try in your own way to solve the mystery.
No, see, I find this really interesting because other directors and other, films follow those type of guidelines. I mean, Lynch came out and expressly said it, but I feel like you have more of a soft spot for his works than others that might follow those same ideals.
You're right.
You give him more of the benefit of the doubt.
I do. I think it's because I like the way. I think David Lynch does a great job of running the emotional gamut. He just succeeds at that, making you feel good, making you feel bad, scared, and all the things in between.
And to add to that, I would say he also makes you feel like everything is purposeful. Everything that you're seeing and hearing is done with intent.
Yeah, he does
Not that other directors don't, but it's almost like, and Carl, I think you said this a little bit earlier, there's something right there.
It's
that you can't grasp.
Right.
But you feel like it's your problem, not an issue with the film.
He knew what he was trying to say. You have to figure it out. I think the other thing I like about David Lynch that maybe I don't see in other films or other directors that are similar is that there's an inherent goodness in, even though you see scary, bad, ugly things, I think Lynch wants you at the end of the day to think about those things, but there's a positive side to things. He also wants you to see the beauty of things. It's not just about the ugly and the scary and the uncomfortable. Like, that's part of it.
Well, he's good at contrast. I mean, without the dark, there is no light, right?
Right, but I like that that he has balance. Like, I think a lot of times, there's movies or directors where it's just the ugly and it's just the bad and it's just you just want to be, the intent is to make you feel despair and I don't find that with him.
Yeah.
It's almost, I've seen this movie maybe 3 or 4 times.
Okay.
It's been a while since I've seen it.
Okay.
But I've seen it more than once, and it's almost like Matt said, I don't know that I fully grasp what's going. I mean, maybe I will after this viewing, but
yeah.
I think it's there. Like Matt said, it's almost like when you play a video game, and Elden Ring, right?
Yeah.
First time you play one of those bosses in Elden Ring, and they destroy you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But then each time you fight them, you get a little bit better. You're learning the patterns.
Pick up a little more.
You're picking up a little more.
Yeah.
And I feel like with Lynch's movies, they lend themselves to repeat viewings because it's like you're getting more out of it. You're noticing different things that you might not have noticed.
Well,
and it's
absolutely. And that's been one of the defining trends throughout all of his work, I would argue, is that he does not want you to figure it out. He does not want something to be, well, maybe besides Straight Story, which is a pretty straight story. But it's like a painting where,
yes.
And when I say painting, I mean a physical, something that you could hold and touch. Like seeing a picture of a painting online is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about going to a museum,
Getting up close.
looking at an actual
Looking
painting.
at the brush strokes and the colors and the
exactly.
you see something different every time.
And every time you view it, yes, you see something different. You pick up something different. You're different when you see it.
That's right.
And it just,
But David Lynch himself has said that.
yeah.
He's like, this is, and I read a lot about this movie because I wanted to be prepared. And he said about this movie, you can't just watch it once and even begin to understand it. You need to watch this movie many times. There are many different clues and themes and things to look for. And in that way, you start to kind of put the pieces together, figure out what the movie's trying to tell you. Same thing with, I read this somewhere, I didn't verify it, but he doesn't put chapters in his DVDs. It's just one solid thing. Now, I don't know if that's true. I don't know if, like, this DVD that Carl brought over, if there are chapters, but he intended for his films, it's like, I don't want you to skip to different parts. I want you to watch it from beginning to end. That's the purpose of it. I put everything is in a certain order for a reason. Like, I don't want you hopping around. This is how it's supposed to be. Just like he's like, I don't want you to watch a movie on your phone.
Right.
That's not what it's for.
That's why AC/DC didn't want their songs initially on Spotify, because they said we want our albums to be taken as whole things and not have people skip around and listen to whatever songs they want.
And that's hard because you can see both sides of it. It's like, well, you're an artist and this is how you intended this to be and whatever. And on the other hand, it's like, well, you know, I want to be able to hear each song, skip around. But a movie, I think less of that. It's like, I want to sit and watch a movie from beginning to end.
Yeah.
So
Well, I feel that way about music too. I listen to albums.
You do. I like to listen to songs. I like making playlists.
It depends. Like, I listen to playlists, but I never make them. And if I do, I add whole albums to the playlist to listen to, and I don't do shuffle.
No shuffling. No, you don't shuffle.
I remember the first time I saw this movie. Andrew, our faithful listener.
Andrew, hi Andrew. Andrew's gonna go crazy over this episode.
Let me borrow this on VHS when we were working together years and years ago.
I think that's when I watched it with you.
And this is super long ago. We've seen it since then. Anyway.
It came out in 2001.
Right. But.
Okay. Doesn't matter. Go on.
And I was still on the fence about Lynch at that time. I was a little more open to trying his stuff. And I think my way of thinking aligned more with yours at the time, where it's like, all right, I'm going to watch this movie and I want to follow a story. I want to figure this out. And when you start the film, it goes pretty well for a little while.
You're like, I got this, I got this, I got this.
There's a point that gets reached and everything changes. And I got so frustrated.
I remember.
At that point, I'm like, what the hell is going on? I had this. I had a grasp on it. And then it's like you hit the frayed end and then
the train just goes right off the tracks.
It's like, what? What is her name now and why and who's this? And yeah.
But I really like this movie a lot. I don't know that it's, well, again, I don't have favorites, but this is one that I can put on and watch multiple times. And it has that dreamlike quality to it where you kind of enter it. And I feel like, oh my God, it's right there. His other one, Inland Empire. Is similar in the feel. The tone is totally different, and I think that this is more of a complete story than that one was. But yeah, I'm excited to watch this again.
Well, here's some interesting trivia about this movie. David Lynch originally wrote the basic idea for the story of this movie in the 90s as a spin-off to Twin Peaks. The character arc of Betty, the main character in this movie, played by Naomi Watts, was written for Twin Peaks supporting character Audrey Horne, who would have been the central figure of the proposed spinoff. So I think that Audrey was supposed to be Betty. She was supposed to have left Twin Peaks and have gone to Hollywood, and this was her story. However, ABC executives rejected the original pilot version of Mulholland Drive in 1999 because, this kills me, they thought that Naomi Watts and Laura Herring, among other reasons, were too old to be television stars. Do you know how old Naomi Watts was when this went on?
Early 30s.
30. 30 years old. Too old. What? Stupid.
So, yeah, I disagree with that. But I guess from the story's perspective, if she's an aspiring Hollywood actress...
I don't think that's why they did it.
She'd be in her early 20s?
Yeah.
I guess so. Sure. One of the themes of the film is struggling actors trying to break through into Hollywood. The real Mulholland Drive, the titular Mulholland Drive, cuts across LA, forming a boundary between the poorer San Fernando Valley to the north and Hollywood to the south. Thus, it serves as a metaphor for the boundary between failure and success in the movie business.
Yeah.
So I find that to be interesting. I think this movie is I want to form my own opinion again after I see it, it having been so long, but I think this movie is a huge indictment against Hollywood.
Yeah.
Among other things.
I mean, maybe less harsh is a dialogue about it as opposed to an indictment against it.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
Lynch said that The Wizard of Oz and Sunset Boulevard, which is a caption in our opening, are inspirations for this film. I can see how both of those would be true.
Sure.
And then I wanted to talk about the list of clues included when the DVD originally was produced. David Lynch
in
was
France.
Famous for not revealing meanings behind his films or his work. He'd be like, you need to figure it out.
But
he's been on record multiple times saying that.
And the reason is because once you define something, the whole mystery collapses, and that's all it can ever be.
That's right.
But if you don't define it, everyone's opinion is valid about it. He's like, I don't want to tell you what it is. That's like someone telling you this is what this poem
means to you.
Is definitively about, and what it means to you.
So there's a good David Lynch quote that I want to read before I tell you the clues, or we go over the clues. And it's, quote, "It's better not to know so much about what things mean or how they might be interpreted, or you'll be too afraid to let things keep happening." You'll stop yourself.
Yeah.
So interesting. Okay. So the clues that came with the DVD, according to Screen Rant, and there is some controversy over how these clues came about.
Yeah.
It says that given that Lynch is notoriously known for refusing to offer up explanations of his work, many have speculated over whether some or all of the DVD clues might be red herrings. But according to Lynch, the clues are real. The Mulholland Drive director confirmed as much in a 2018 interview with Vulture. In the interview, Lynch also explained how the list was originally only meant to exist in France. Mulholland Drive was an instant success in the country, and this led to the uncharacteristic move by Lynch of providing the list of clues. Quote, "Normally, I would have said no, but, and I don't know why, I came up with things that people could think about when they watched it," Lynch told the magazine. Thanks to the internet, the clues quickly spread to fans everywhere. The list, titled David Lynch's 10 Clues to Unlocking This Thriller, is as follows.
Now, these clues were released in the original pressing of the 2002 release of this film on DVD.
Yeah.
But in the copy that we're watching, when Criterion re-released it, they're not in there. They're not in any of the supporting materials in the book, nothing.
These clues were only released in the French DVD release, and then they spread on the internet.
Yeah, and I don't understand that either.
I don't know. I don't know why. I don't really care.
No,
that
it's
much.
not really worth debating, but it's an interesting question.
It's more mystery.
I suppose.
So are you ready for the clues? Some of them are going to be meaningless to us, I think, at this point, until we watch the movie.
Yeah.
But here they come. 1, pay particular attention in the beginning of the film. At least 2 clues are revealed before the credits. So we have to watch for that, whatever those clues
I almost
may
want to
be.
have these clues up as we're watching the movie, because I didn't know, to be honest,
Yeah.
I didn't know about these clues.
You didn't?
You didn't?
I
You
didn't.
never heard? Really?
Oh, my God. All right, well, we can have them. Clue number 2. We can even write them down so
Well,
we can.
I also have a post-analysis after we watch the film
Oh, my God.
of some things that have been filled in about these clues, and We can talk about that after we watch.
Okay. Number 2. So pre-credits, there are 2 clues. Number 2, notice appearances of the red lampshade. The end. 3, can you hear the title of the film that Adam Kesher is auditioning actresses for? Is it mentioned again? So the Justin Theroux plays the director, Adam, and he is auditioning somebody for
A
role. And then I think it comes up again. So we have to know what the title of that movie is. 4, an accident is a terrible event. Notice the location of the accident.
This almost seems like when I was in book club.
Yeah. It was like the
little
food for thought at
discussion
the end.
topics
Yeah,
for the book.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. 5, who gives a key and why? So we got to worry about keys, red lampshades,
Movie titles.
Okay. Oh my God.
Blue key.
6, notice the robe, the ashtray, the coffee cup. All of them. 7, what is felt, realized, and gathered at the Club Silencio? That sounds like a riddle. Is it time?
It is. The whole thing's a
I know.
riddle.
8, did talent alone help Camilla? 9, we're almost done. Note the occurrences surrounding the man behind Winky's, which I believe is a restaurant. And 10, where is Aunt Ruth?
Yeah.
Where is she?
She's been here the whole time.
We'll talk about it.
I don't know. So we've got things to think about while we watch this film, and we should point them out, okay? So that's a lot. We got a lot to think about. We got a lot to view, but one of the things I like about, and you do too, Matthew, and you probably do too, Carl, about David Lynch's films are they're very dreamlike, or he goes into dreams, like Twin Peaks, you know, the dream within a dream, and who is the dreamer, and what is the dream. So I wanted to talk a little bit about dreams and how freaking weird they are. Like, Matt and I seem to talk about dreams a lot. Like, we'll tell each other, be like, I had this weird dream last night, and listen to this. And there's like this running theme where I don't know what kind of dreams you guys have, but mine are always stressful.
Oh, yeah. So the recurring ones.
Oh, I was going to ask that. So there you go.
Because I definitely
have
have the one-off. There are 3 dreams that I've had that were one-offs.
Yep.
That I will never forget. One of which we already talked about is the Godzilla Clarence in the Godzilla costume.
Damn it, Clarence.
But the ones that are recurring are usually school-related.
That you're in school?
I'm in college or high school. And I know what's going on. You know, it's lucid. So I know I'm in college.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know where my class, like, I don't know what class I'm supposed to be going to. Like, I'm literally like, I snap into my dream and I'm standing in the middle of my college with my bag. And I'm like, crap, I don't know where I'm supposed to be. Who would have my schedule?
Going?
The bursar's office. Where's the bursar's office? Because it's not like, even though I know I'm in college, it's not
your college.
Not my college.
Yeah.
And I have no idea where I'm supposed to be. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm missing so much. Did I do homework? Did I have homework?
Yep.
Where am I? Like, I'm like all over the place freaking out. That's the one that I have all the time.
Recurring. But school. Not work, not...
Nope.
That's interesting. Because how long has it been since you've been in school?
I graduated college in 2000.
Decades ago.
So,
are your dreams typically stressful?
Not always. That one is.
Not always, but
that one is.
Do you typically have stressful dreams, or dreams that, like, you have to figure something out, or...
Not all the time.
No?
I wouldn't say frequent, but as far as the ones that one is recurring. I've had that one more than once.
That's interesting. How about you? I know you have recurring dreams of being in a very labyrinthine building or house.
So I am
that happens a lot.
Very lucky. I consider myself very lucky where I don't have nightmares. I don't have stressful dreams. I'm never in a position where I feel stressed. I never dream about work.
Oh my
I
God!
never
Lucky
dream
you.
about school. Although the idea of having a job or being in school might occur in my dreams, if that makes sense. Yeah, I don't have recurring dreams, but there are recurring themes that will come up in my dreams. And one is that exactly where I am in these places, buildings, houses, and they're almost like the TARDIS, where they're bigger on the inside than they are on the outside. I might enter a house and there's secret passages and other things. And a lot of times I'm just exploring or looking for something. Like we'll go in together, and I'm typically alone. Like other people don't factor in often in my dreams, or there are people in them, but there aren't distinct people. I don't know. My dreams are strange. I do try to remember them when I wake up, but they're very much like this movie.
Yeah, just kind of like meandering and bizarre, and
Yeah, it's just
weird things will happen at you.
There isn't a
around
story
you.
being told. It's
Yeah.
experiential. I don't know how to describe it.
Was it Mr. Poisson or somebody used to tell us that if you want to remember your dreams,
You write them down.
keep a journal next to your bed.
Our
and
daughter
as soon as
does.
you wake up, write it down.
She
and
writes them down.
You're conditioning your brain to remember them more.
Yeah. Which is probably good. Like if I tell my dream a lot of times, like if I say it to Matt, especially if it's a weird one, but my dreams are so stupid. I would really like in some way to have nicer dreams. They're always about like having to go do something or being late for work or having to be at work. The other day, I had a dream that I was in a meeting at work, and it was boring and stupid, as meetings often are. And I woke up. And it wasn't like the alarm didn't go off yet or anything. And I remember waking up and being so angry and literally telling myself, you cannot go back to sleep and start dreaming about work again.
No, you need to
I'm not
put
doing
yourself
that.
somewhere else.
Yeah. And I didn't dream I don't know what happened, but I didn't dream about work any further. And a lot of times I will have lucid dreams. Like I'll know that I'm dreaming. But it doesn't matter. I can't like change the subject. I'd like to.
I was going to ask. So, can you guys like if you wake up from a dream, are you able to like put yourself back into it?
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes, but not all the time. And not all the time do I want to. There have been times when I've had bad dreams.
Where you like
a
force yourself
nightmare.
to wake up. I force myself to wake up sometimes from a dream. Like if I'm
Yeah.
having a really bad dream and I know it's a dream,
Yeah, you're
I'll
like,
force
nope.
myself to wake up. I'll be like, get out, like wake up right now.
Nope, right out of there.
I've never done that.
I've had
done that
not
before.
a lot. I don't have bad dreams a lot. I really don't. But I do have like stress dreams. And poor Matt is always in trouble in my dreams. He's always
I
acting
can't
like a
believe
total
it. Are you
jerk.
mad at him sometimes?
Oh, yeah.
Well, not really.
I did that in my
No.
dream.
No.
But I'll tell him.
But in
I'll
the
be
dream
like,
she will be.
You know, I was doing this thing in my dream, and you just said "fuck it" and walked away. And he's like, "I wouldn't do that. That's a dream." I'm like, "I know, but it was so rude."
What was the
that you
thing?
did it." I don't know. There's been so many times.
What was the one with bacon or guacamole or something?
I don't remember.
Oh
There
my
was
God, you
bacon or
don't?
guacamole.
Like
You were so mad at Dream Matt.
you had someone in your dream.
Yeah.
I had a friend that came to visit. Like we were supposed to go do something, and I'm like, oh, but blah blah's in town.
Oh, kind
It
of.
won't be
remember
long,
that.
and I went to go visit him, and then I disappeared.
Oh,
and then you found
my
me in
God.
an alley.
Yes. So I had this dream that Matt and I the kids were little. They weren't even our kids. They were like other children that I wasn't aware of. And they were little, and we were going on vacation.
Right.
So I'm like, all right, we got to pack. We had like a van. We don't have a van. We got to pack the van up and get on the road for vacation. He's like, oh, yeah, but my friend, he had a name too, and I can't remember what it was. He had a real name. It was like.
But it wasn't an actual Matt friend. It was like a Dream Matt
No,
friend.
just some random first
you know
name,
what?
last
For
name.
the sake of argument, we'll call him David Home.
Okay.
Okay. So he's like, oh, David Home. He's in town. I got to go see him. I'll only be like an hour tops. And I'm going, okay, because, you know, we got to get on the road. Yeah. So I think I came with you.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, we're going to go to this Mexican restaurant. I'm like, all right. So I bring the kids, and Matt's sitting at the other end of this like long trestle table outside. He's yucking it up with David home. And here I am trying to deal with these kids and feed them Mexican food. And I'm getting stressed out. I'm like, we got to leave. We got to go. And all of a sudden I look up and Matt's not there anymore. I'm like, where is he now? So I go around to the alley of the restaurant, and he's having like a fight with guacamole with David home. But they're
What do you mean a fight with guacamole?
I don't know. There was like guacamole being thrown around, and they're like punching each other in the face, right? Isn't that what happened?
Yeah, but it ended up not being like
It wasn't
we were
like
just
an
screwing around.
aggressive.
Like
they
play
were
fighting
they were.
with
It was like
guacamole?
horsing around.
Guacamole fight.
And I was so
Yes.
mad. I'm like, what are you doing? Now we have to go home, and you have to change, and you're gonna have to take a shower. And you're like, no, it's fine. We're having a good time. I'm like, you're not listening to me. So those are my dreams. And he gets in trouble.
Do you always dream in first person, or do you sometimes dream in third
Always.
person?
I'm always me.
Same.
Really?
I'm never
me.
looking at me.
Sometimes I'm looking at me.
Really?
And sometimes I know I'm looking at me. Like I know that what I'm seeing is
Wow.
me, but it is like
Whoa.
I'm watching. I'm removed from myself and watching it happen as an observer, but I'm still.
That's weird.
It's still me doing it.
Yeah,
It's kind of weird.
that is weird.
One other dream that I remember, and this is bizarre. I've never had another dream quite like it. And I'm not claiming to have any powers.
Oh, wow.
Let's just put it that way.
Okay.
That's a good
That's a bold
preface there.
statement. Yeah. I'm not claiming.
I was in junior high school, and
This is when you had the dream, or you were in the dream you were in junior high?
this is when I had the dream.
Okay.
You were in junior high
I was
school.
in junior
Okay.
high school. And in the dream, I went through a normal school day. So again, this is uncharacteristic of my dreams now, but I was in school and it was a normal school
yeah.
day.
Yeah.
Like nothing weird went on. And it was very much like I would go to class, we would have class, things would happen in class, like people talking to each other or someone showing me something. And then we, go to the next class. And it was pretty much like a full day. And I woke up the next day and went to school, and the things that happened in my dream happened in school. the
That's
next
weird.
day. Like I dreamed that someone, like I had my hat on in a class, and in my dream, someone took it, and I know who that person was. And then in that same class, in reality, the next day, that person took my hat.
Were you like blown away by
In
that?
I was shocked.
You're like,
freaking out?
what?
Totally
I'm
freaked
This
out.
happened.
I'm a wizard.
Yeah.
But I was questioning,
deja vu.
am I still dreaming?
Oh my God.
Or am I awake?
Oh, that's a mind fuck, isn't it?
Total mind fuck.
And who is the
especially
dreamer?
when you're in
Yikes.
when you're in junior
Yeah, you're
high.
all hormonal and weird.
So
Wow.
it was just a
Yeah.
really weird, and it could have been anything. It could have been a very common, because people would take my hat all the time. But
It just was very particular. You dreamt about it, a particular person in a
Yes.
particular class, and then that happened.
yes,
A little deja vu.
yeah,
a
it
little
did. I
glitch
felt
in
like
the
it was
Matrix.
deja vu all day.
Yeah, yeah.
It was really bizarre.
That's weird.
Wow.
It was,
But it never happened again?
No,
Wow.
no.
It's probably good. Probably good that it didn't happen again. That would be yikes, right?
That's why I'll label that coincidence.
Do
my
you believe that people that are deceased can show up in our dreams?
Of course.
Oh,
'cause
all
they're
the
in-
time.
like
they're in your
all the
brain.
time.
Like their actual spirit, like
No.
not you just dreaming about
it's
them.
No.
Just like everything else, it's how can you know? Like I've had family members that have died and they've shown up in my dreams and I've talked to them. But how do I know that it's not
Your brain.
my own subconscious being like, I need closure. I just want to talk to them again. I want to see them again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How do you know?
You don't.
You don't.
Everything's
So
your brain. How do we know that each of us exists as
I know.
an individual?
I think therefore I am. Perception is reality.
It is.
I know. It's true. So, I would never discount somebody else's experience. Oh, my mom visited me in a dream. It's like, okay, that's what you experienced, But, and wouldn't you want that? Like if a loved one dies
Of
and you can
course.
see them in a dream, be like, oh, I'm talking to you again. But I don't know that I can 100% believe
That you're talking to them.
that you're talking to them.
right.
I mean, each time, like, one of my grandparents died, they were in my dreams and I would talk to them. It was great. I felt good about it. Like
Right.
it was
you wake up
nice.
from those and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
that's a cathartic experience,
Yeah.
but I think that, I mean, and we don't truly understand the brain, number one.
No.
Number two, we certainly don't understand exactly what dreams are for.
Right.
But
To stress me out, apparently.
a lot of
Clearly.
them,
That's what they're for.
I think there's a lot to it when people say that they're your brain's way of just dealing with unresolved conflict or
Totally.
issues, or sometimes it's just garbage that
clearing
your brain
it out.
processes.
Yeah, I think that's true.
I think when someone dies, who was close to you,
You gotta deal with
you
that.
deal with it one way consciously, but it's still there subconsciously.
Yeah,
and
I
when you
think that's
dream,
Your brain's
your brain works on that.
Yeah.
And part of that is it knows, what human interaction is like. So it uses that as a mechanism to handle those feelings.
Yeah. But it was always pleasant. Talking to dead people in my dreams has always been a good, positive experience. Never
Yeah.
upsetting.
The only reason I ask is, like, my dad passed away, obviously. Well, not maybe obviously, not obviously to our audience, but obviously to you guys.
We know, but yeah.
My dad died when I was young, in 2003.
Young man, yeah.
So I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
I never remember having a dream about him after that. But I had a dream. There was a guy I was friendly with that I worked with who died.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe it wasn't right after, but maybe like a month or two after he died, I had this dream that BJ's Wholesale Club was starting to sell records. They're like, we're going to start selling records. And I went, oh my God, I gotta go down to BJ's to get some records. So I drive down to BJ's and they get these crates of records and I'm digging through the records and it's all records that I own already.
Yep.
But I was like, it was mobbed. Like there was a crap ton of people there getting these records.
At BJ's.
At BJ's. And I was giving people recommendations. I'm like, hey, this is a really good album. Because they were like cheap, because it's BJ's. But ultimately there was nothing there that I wanted.
Yeah.
So I'm leaving BJ's and Steve was his name. All of a sudden Steve is in BJ's and he's got the vest on.
He's working there.
He's working there.
Okay.
And I just remember him just being so vibrant compared to everyone else that was there. And so I went over to him and I shooting the shit. I was just like, wow, they're just letting anybody work here, huh? And he's like, hey, Carl, how you doing? And I'm like, I'm good, Steve. How are you? Are you okay? And he said, yeah, Carl, I'm okay. And I'm like, oh, that's good. And and so I ended up leaving BJ's and my car wasn't there where I parked it. And I'm like, oh crap, somebody stole my car. And I walked around the circumference of BJ's trying to find my car, and I found it like in the back of BJ's, but somebody had shaved the top off of it. Like somebody had made it a convertible, but like not professionally.
Yes.
Like just the top of it
Like
just got shaved right off. And I'm like, what the hell happened to my car? Now, Steve used to be a police officer.
Okay.
And I'm like, Steve would know what to do. And so I went back into BJ's to try to find him.
Yeah.
And he was gone.
He was gone.
He wasn't there. Huh. But I woke up and I just had this feeling that it was just like, that was him. Like,
you felt okay about it.
I felt okay about it.
Yeah.
And I still get emotional when I talk about
that's
it. And
important. No matter if it was him or if it wasn't, it was your brain. You needed that.
Yeah.
You needed that.
Yeah.
And so it happened. Whatever the reason, you just
See, it's so weird. Like listening to you talk about that could my dreams are so far removed from that. Like I might end up in a store and I know it's a store.
But it's not an actual store.
But it's never an actual store.
His dreams are not literal. Your dreams are never literal. Or very rarely.
That reminds me, like liminal spaces or back room. That's where I am.
That's where I am. That's where I go.
My dreams, just very strange.
Yeah. Sometimes you'll have things happen though, because sometimes you'll tell me, "Oh yeah, we did this," or.
Yeah, but it's rare.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of bizarre. Does anybody fly in their dreams? I don't.
Nope.
No.
That'd be cool.
No.
I've never done that. I
I've
do have.
fallen.
I was gonna say, do you have any recurring, almost scary? Like every once in a while, I have a dream where I can't open my eyes in my dream. Like I just can't, and it freaks me out to the point where I'll wake up. Sometimes I can't open my eyes, and sometimes I can't breathe.
I'll have dreams sometimes that my teeth are falling out.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you concerned about it? Like, are you scared?
In the dream, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, what's happening?
Yeah.
And then,
are they
and then
literally just like are you pulling them out? Are they just dropping out?
just dropping out.
Wow. I know. It's strange though, right?
Yeah.
I find the dreams where I can't open my eyes just really, what is that? What is that?
Well,
Like I can't.
are you stuck in between dreaming and waking?
Maybe.
Because your body
who knows?
paralyzes itself.
Yeah, I
when
know.
you're asleep.
I don't know. It's really bizarre. It doesn't happen a lot at all, but it's a thing that I'm like, what? No. But yeah,
Dreams are wacky. The brain's a miraculous thing.
it's really kind of crazy, and we don't know that much about it. So, yeah. Anyway, it's also a great Fleetwood Mac song. Don't. Yeah,
That was almost inaudible.
I heard it. So yeah, Carl, what do we have for dinner?
We had delicious baked ziti
Baked ziti with
and
homemade sausage,
garlic bread.
and salad.
and salad.
And we'll have dessert. We have lots of different things. I went to Target today and got like a bunch of like those awesome weird trail mixes. It's some like bullshit unhealthy like caramel macchiato trail mix.
Oh,
And
Jesus.
yeah, I got that. I got cookies, heart-shaped cookies. I think we have some pastry. So we got stuff to eat as we go down Mulholland Drive. So I got the list. We got to look for red lampshades and
Coffee
keys and ashtrays and robes and Aunt Ruth.
Aunt Ruth.
Did you see if this was streaming anywhere? I know I brought my.
I didn't, because you had it.
Yeah.
You got to be able to find it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's out there. I bet it's on Amazon.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just borrow from Carl. Whatever. Just he'll mail
Stop
it
at
to you.
Carl Flicks.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's take a ride down Mulholland Drive. We'll never be. And we have returned from our trip to Mulholland Drive. Woo! Whoa! What did we think, guys?
It's a great movie.
Yeah, I still really like the movie.
It's a great movie, and I feel like I had a better handle on it now, or a better handle than I ever have had on the film.
Same.
I feel like I said when we finished the movie, I was like, I think I got it.
Well, like you said,
I got it.
You can revisit something at a different stage in your life and come away with something different.
Sure, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Go
I'm
for
gonna
it.
try really
Go.
hard to recap this movie, and it's
Experience it on your own before. I mean, if you
because
we're going to get into it.
Okay, but if you watch this movie and you go in it completely cold, you'll be confused. You may still enjoy it, but
just let it go. Just let it happen.
just let it happen.
Let it wash over you.
And I guess be confused. If you don't want to be confused, or you've seen this movie and you want our take on it, please, by all means, there's going to be some spoilers or possible conjecture spoilers ahead, because
we talk about movies on this podcast.
Yeah, I'm going to say it anyway. So, this movie is about two characters. Let me set that up right away. One character, played by Naomi Watts, is named Betty, but then at the end of the movie, her name changes to Diane. The other character in the first half of the movie, her name is Rita. And then in the back half, her name is Camilla. Okay, this is important. I'll explain why. But basically, the movie opens, and without getting into the weeds too much, Naomi Watts' character, Betty, has come to LA, right? And everything's nice and happy, and she's all bright-eyed. She's met old people on the plane. She's going to come to LA and be an actress. And she goes to her Aunt Ruth's apartment, who you never see. Aunt Ruth is away in Canada filming.
You see Aunt Ruth. You see her
Right.
leaving at the beginning of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, she's getting in the cab.
And you see her toward the end when she comes back.
You're right. I'm sorry. Never mind. But she's not there when Naomi Watts is there. They're not there together.
She is left by the point that Naomi
So
gets there.
Aunt Ruth is away. This place is beautiful. It's like this beautiful old Hollywood apartment, and there's a woman there that runs it, and she looks like Coco, and she looks like she's old Hollywood too, and everything's nice and happy. And then at the same time, you see this dark-haired woman, and she's in a car, and a car accident happens. And she stumbles out of the car. They're on Mulholland Drive.
She's in a limo, and the drivers try to kill her.
Yeah, they point a gun at her.
They point a gun at her, and they're like, we're going to stop here. But there's cars coming the other way down Mulholland Drive. And
the unexpected comes down Mulholland Drive and stops what was going to happen.
A car accident happens. Mm-hmm. And she stumbles out of the car, and she's all out of it. And she makes her way down into the valley and ends up in the same house as Betty, Naomi Watts.
While Aunt Rita is leaving...
Ruth,
sorry. While Aunt Ruth is leaving, soon to be Rita sneaks
we don't
into
know
the
her
apartment.
name yet. Rita sneaks into the apartment and kind of passes out. She's got a concussion.
She has a concussion.
She goes to sleep.
And she goes to sleep. She probably took some ibuprofen.
Didn't tell anybody
Don't
what
tell
was going
anybody.
on.
It's fine.
She didn't.
Right.
And she was fine.
So
I'm fine.
Betty comes into the apartment, discovers this woman in the shower, and is like, who are you? And she doesn't know. And finally, the woman in the shower looks at a poster of Rita Hayworth in the bathroom, and she's like, that's going to be my name. She's like, my name's Rita. And so this whole first half of the movie is Betty trying to help Rita find out what happened to her. Rita is totally dependent on Betty, very grateful, very thankful, but needy. You know, she's got this mystery stuff going on. She's got a blue key in her purse. She's got like wads of cash in her purse. And they go about the town trying to piece together what happened. In the meantime, you have all these other weird little vignettes of like two guys in a diner talking about a dream they had and how freaked out the guy was about the dream, and it's a recurring dream. You have this director named Adam who's trying to cast a movie, and he is being told by nefarious people that he's got to cast Camilla.
He's beholden to these superiors.
Right, these shadowy figures, which itself seems like a movie. Mm-hmm. So, and all these mishaps happen to him. Like his wife leaves him and kicks him out of the house. And
she's sleeping with a pool boy.
She's sleeping with Billy Ray Cyrus, the pool boy.
Yep.
And he ends up having like his bank account drained. So all of this stuff is happening. And you're kind of following along. You're like, okay, all right, this is going on. And then Adam, the director, is told to meet this cowboy up in the hills. And he meets the cowboy, and they have this strange conversation. But basically, the cowboy says to him, I need you to cast this woman in the picture. If you see me one more time, you've done good. If you see me two more times, you've done bad.
Well, didn't he also tell him, like, your attitude will, like, guide what happens in life?
To you.
Like,
yes.
He makes it a point to have that point driven home.
Right. He's like, are you listening to me? Repeat back to me what I just said.
That's right.
So, and of course you're watching this movie going, why on earth is this cowboy talking to this director? What does this have to do with anything? Then...
Yeah, that happens a few times.
The two gals get closer to figuring out what happened to Rita.
She remembers a name.
She remembers the name Diane. Diane's, how does she remember the last name? She just comes out with it?
Yeah, she just said, I remembered something. I remembered a name.
That's right. Mm-hmm. So they look up...
Because she was at the diner with Betty,
and they see the waitress.
The waitress had a name tag that says Diane.
Diane, and that triggers her memory.
Right.
She's like, oh, wait, I know a Diane. Is that
Diane.
Me? I don't know who that is. So they look up Diane Selwyn in the phone book, and they eventually find her apartment.
Well, they call her. And
Nobody answers.
No one's there, but an answering machine answers, and it's not her voice.
Right. It's not Rita's voice.
Right.
So they go to the apartment, and it's locked. They end up breaking in, and there's a dead...
Well, they go to the apartment, and the woman who answers the door says that she is not Diane. that
Right,
they
but she
traded
moved down the
apartments.
way.
They switched
But
apartments.
that's
Right.
relevant. It's important.
All right. So I'm not going to go into every little detail. It's too much.
It's not little.
So they go, why isn't it little? Why does it matter that much?
Just keep going.
He's got the clues.
It's got the clues. So he goes, they go to the other apartment where Diane lives and they can't get in. So Betty breaks in the window and there's a dead body in there on the bed. And Rita freaks out.
A bed that is identical to the one at the beginning of the film before the credits.
Right.
Where you see
like a red
from
pillow.
like
See
a
a
bed
first
with
person
red sheets.
perspective, it looks like someone is laying down.
Gonna get into bed.
Into the bed.
Yeah. So it's the same bed you see in the opening credits, which is one of the clues. Whew. So then Rita kind of freaks out. You see some double vision going on.
Superimposing.
Yep. And then they go back to Aunt Ruth's and they sleep together, Betty and Rita. And then Rita wakes up in the middle of the night and says, I got to go to this place. You need to come with me. And
She wakes up speaking in
Spanish, right, saying, no hay bando.
Yeah, silencio.
So Betty goes, all right, I'll go with you. And they go to Club Silencio. And Club Silencio is this really cool old theater, which is also featured in Twin Peaks: The Return. And the guy on the stage, basically the message of Club Silencio is there's no band here. There's no orchestra. Every sound you hear has been recorded, pre-recorded. And then they have a musical act, which is Rebecca Del Rio singing a Spanish version of Roy Orbison's Crying. But in the middle of the song, she collapses. And she's still singing because it's pre-recorded. And the girls are crying because they realize something is wrong.
I think they realize something is wrong, but also it's telling because when that guy comes out and he says everything's recorded and blah, 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 you're engaged in what he's saying in that moment. And he's playing with you a little bit. He's doing things and saying things. And there are sounds, and he's just like,
It's theatrical.
it's very
He's like
theatrical.
a magician.
That's
He's
right.
got like
Yes.
a wand.
It's a show.
Yeah.
It's like a routine.
Yeah.
It's like a show. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like a routine, and you know it. It's self-aware. You're aware of it, and
Right.
they in the audience are as well. Then when Rebecca Del Rio comes out, it looks and sounds and feels like she's singing, and you're experiencing that emotion, right? It's supposed to be a very emotional, wrenching song, and I think the audience, including the two women, are swept up in it, and they're feeling that emotion. And then when she collapses, that's when you're snapped back to reality and realize that it's just a recording. She was acting. She wasn't really singing. It was all on tape.
Right.
It was an illusion.
Illusion, Michael. He says illusion.
Yeah.
This is illusions. So then they go back to the apartment, and Rita takes they have a box. How did they get the box?
The box
that
was
in her bag.
purse. She
The
opened her purse.
She
and
opened
the
her
box
purse
is
in
there.
the theater, and
And
the
the box
box
was
was
There's a
there.
blue box in there.
Now, something you left out earlier
Yep.
was when they were at Winky's, and when I say they, I mean the two guys talking about the dream. Part of that dream was the man was afraid of something that was behind
Yes. Behind the diner.
the diner, and when he went back there and saw it, this man, he passes out, and it fades to black immediately.
It's like a scary, dirty hobo.
It is.
Yeah.
That box is then associated with that same hobo
Later.
later at the end of the film. I just wanted to have those marks there.
I
anchor points for
have
us to
a
talk
theory about what the hobo is
Good.
at the end.
Okay.
Good.
Well, no, good, because I wanted to talk about it.
Oh, right. So anyway, where am I? They go, she finds a box. Rita finds the box in her purse.
But why?
Wait, no. Did Rita find the box in her purse, or did
No.
No.
Betty did.
Betty
Betty
did.
did.
Betty opens her purse.
Rita's purse. No.
No,
No,
she
her own
opens her own
purse.
purse.
Okay.
And the box is just there. I think she
Right.
was looking for a handkerchief or
Yeah,
something.
because they're like sobbing.
She
They're sobbing,
discovers the box.
And the box is just now there.
Right.
Yep.
So they go back, and Rita takes the box and takes the key that she had put away from her own purse.
Oh, wait.
No, well, then Betty disappears.
Betty completely disappears before she gets the key. She walks in, she gets the hat box down to take her purse with the cash and the key in it.
Yeah.
Out of the hat box.
Yeah.
She's talking to Betty, and all of a sudden Betty's gone.
Oh.
Betty.
She walks around the house looking for her before she opens the box.
Okay.
So she's there alone. No one, like, we have no idea how Betty vanished or where she went.
All right. So, but Rita opens the box.
She puts the key in
Puts
the
the
box.
key in, she
it's
opens it.
a triangular key. Everything's blue.
The box opens, and
there's
you look inside of it, and it's
seemingly nothing.
empty.
Yeah.
Well, it's just black. There's
Yeah.
just blackness.
And then all of a sudden, the box tumbles to the floor.
Well, the camera goes into the box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the box falls.
And then you see the box fall to the floor, and then Aunt Ruth comes home into the room.
Well, it's like you're going down a rabbit hole into it, and then you're looking up, and the box, falls down. You're on the other side of the mirror at that point.
Right. And then it cuts to
Diane's apartment.
Diane's apartment. Where the dead
Things are
body's
strange at
apart.
first, though, because once that box falls to the
Oh,
floor...
it goes back and forth between... It's almost like two realities.
Yes.
Yep, that's right.
It cuts between. There are some overlay effects there.
Yep.
You see...
The body on the bed changes from dead to alive.
To alive. You see the cowboy. But that's what you were getting to.
Yeah.
Right. But Ruth...
Yeah. Aunt Ruth
comes back and she walks around, does not see the box on the floor.
No, it's like nobody's there. Like nobody's been there.
It's like nobody's been there.
She's like, what?
And it's almost like Betty at the beginning of the film looking around the apartment, checking it out. Or no, the aunt, the way she was walking around, checking before she left on whatever trip
There it is.
she was going on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sometime before. So you cut to Diane's apartment. You see what was the dead body on the bed, but now is alive, in the same position, in the same clothes. And it's who you think is Betty. But you come to find out very quickly that her name isn't Betty, it's Diane.
And the cowboy wakes her up.
And the cowboy wakes her up. He says something like, wake up, or rise and shine, or I forget what he says, but it's wake up. You need to wake up.
But he sees her alive and he says it's time to wake up.
Yeah.
And then he sees her dead and then he leaves. And then it cuts back and she's alive.
That's right. You're right. So then she gets up and there's a knock on the door. And it's the neighbor she swapped apartments with, and she's like, I've come to get the rest of I need the rest of my stuff that you still have.
And she said that in the dream, too,
Yep,
when they
she
were
did.
mentioning
Yep,
the apartment
that's right.
switch. 'Cause
So
she's like,
there's another little echo.
I'm going to go over there with you
Yeah.
because she has my stuff.
Yeah.
So that happens, and then she's like, oh, all your stuff's in a box over here. And she's like, well, I need my ashtray, too. And it's a piano ashtray, so it's a very distinct-looking ashtray, and it's on the coffee table. And you see this woman take the ashtray away.
Yes.
And then Diane's sad. She's living in her sad kitchen. She's making sad coffee, whatever. And then all of a sudden, it cuts again. And Diane and Camilla, are making out on the couch, but the ashtray is back.
Well, she sees, while she's making coffee, she sees visions of her in this red dress in the kitchen. And Diane starts to shake and seethe. And then it's gone, and then all of a sudden she's climbing over the couch at an earlier
right, and it's an earlier point in time because the ashtray is there.
Yes.
The ashtray hasn't been taken away. And so those clues, and then from there, Camilla says to Diane, we can't do this anymore. I'm not in a relationship with you anymore. I'm done. And Diane's devastated. And then you see some scenes.
Well, she says, is it because of him, referring to the director? And it's interesting because that scene where they're making out on the couch and doing things is echoes of the dream, or inside what we'll call the dream earlier, where Betty is doing the scene with that older actor.
Right. Yeah.
And it's very, suggestive of a relationship, and they can't do it anymore. And she suggests in that dream that she's going to kill him. Mm-hmm. Like, my father, just left, blah, 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 I'll kill you.
Right.
And then we have the reality.
So in the reality that happened before present day, Camilla is having this relationship with Adam, the director, and she's basically kicking Diane to the curb. and is not even really hiding it.
Almost kind of flaunting it.
I
It's
think
almost
so. She
it's
does
kind of
not
cruel.
care.
Yeah,
She is cruel.
totally shoving it in her face.
Does not care. They end up at like a dinner party. Camilla and Diane end up at a dinner party at the director's house where they're going to, Camilla and the director announce they're going to get married or whatever.
She doesn't end up at a dinner party. Camilla calls Diane on the phone and says that there's a car outside.
Yeah,
Please
brings her
come.
there.
And she reluctantly goes, and that car is the limo that we see at the beginning of the film. We see the title screen again with the shot of the Mulholland Drive
Right.
street sign. The car is driven by the same two people, and it stops in the same place on Mulholland Drive.
Mm-hmm.
And this time, instead of, an attempted murder and an accident happening, and then Rita walking off into the woods down into the valley, the car stops. The drivers say that it's a surprise, and Camilla comes walking out of the woods down.
Gets Diane and says, "Oh, this is a shortcut to the director's house."
Yes.
Because Diane is late. So there's so many, and so okay, let me finish. So then Diane's so upset by this, she hires a hitman and says, I want you to kill Camilla. She gives her a headshot and cash, wads of cash, which are echoed in the beginning of the film.
When she says, "This is the girl,"
This is the girl.
which was the line that in the dream that the director
Yes.
had to say when he was going to cast the girl.
Right.
And the girl that was supposed to be the girl
Was
in
at
the
the
dream
party.
that was going to be, in the party
Yeah.
and making out with Camilla.
But also was Camilla Rhodes. That was her headshot.
That's right.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so does that, and the hitman procures a blue house key and says, okay, once you give me this money, I'm doing it. There's no going back. And when I'm done, when the deed is done, I'll leave this blue key in the designated place.
Where we agreed upon it.
And she said, what does it unlock? And he just laughs.
And it's interesting. The guy who she's talking to is played by the same guy that played Jacob in the show Lost.
Yeah.
Which it's just kind of funny
Kinda
seeing
weird.
him in that role.
Yeah.
But in the real world, he has blue eyes. In the dream world, he has heterochromia.
So I want to talk about the dream world. We haven't talked about that yet.
Where he has, one
He has
brown
different
eye, one
colored
blue
eyes.
eye.
Yes. So then, after she makes the deal with the hitman, in an echo of what happens prior with the two guys in the diner and the guy that says he's afraid of what is behind the diner, the camera goes again to the back of the diner, and there's like a hobo back there, and he's got a paper bag, and inside the paper bag is
The blue box.
He puts the blue box inside a paper bag.
That's right.
And then drops it.
and then drops it. And
then
then
the little people climb.
listen, I am not going to even. We can. Okay.
I have a theory that I thought, and I think it's confirmed
right.
with the points that will go.
Okay.
About the little people?
Yes.
And then the very end, the key is now in Diane's apartment because the deed is done. The ashtray is gone because it's the very present. We've seen the room, the other person take away the ashtray. And Diane is tormented by what she's done. And even her prior fantasies are now haunting her. So, like, people we saw in the beginning of the film in a fantasy are now terrorizing her. The old people.
The little old people crawl under the door and then grow into big people
And chase her down the
start
hallway.
chasing her.
They're home invaders.
Very disturbing. Diane throws herself in her bed, can't take it anymore, puts a gun to her head, and kills herself. And that is... Oh, and then...
Then it goes back to the club.
It goes back to Club Silencio, and a blue-haired lady says Silencio.
I think that is a cross-dressing man.
Okay, well,
But
I identified her as a blue-haired lady.
say Silencio.
And then
you
that's...
you take whatever you take from
That's
it.
right, exactly. So my thought...
But wait, and then you see the shining lights of the city again, and then Diane
And
Camilla
Oh, yes, they're
bathed in the
happy
spotlight,
faces superimposed.
shining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, my theory, I think it's pretty good, is that the whole first half of the movie is Diane's dream. So the present reality is the latter half of the movie. You know, that's real. That's what happened. That she was with Camilla. She's a washed-up actress. Camilla doesn't want to be with her anymore. She's running away with this director. Diane has nothing left. She's miserable. And so she hires someone to kill her. And they do. And then she's so devastated, she kills herself. But before she does that, she dreams about something different, an escape, a fantasy, what could have been, maybe forgotten dreams.
So just because it popped into my head as we were talking, and I want it out there. The double eyes, the two color eyes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if it's because if it's a dream, because he had the two color eyes in the dream. Mm-hmm. Is it because she didn't remember what color his eyes were in real life? So in the dream,
it could be. It could be. I think that's open to interpretation.
So like her brain's just like, I don't know what color his eyes are.
Yeah.
So maybe let's just
make
have
it
one
like
of each.
this. Yeah, or just dreams. You do weird things happen in dreams.
Or it could be something like he is in both worlds because he's the one that she hires to do this deed. So he's haunting her dreams and in her reality. Like she both wanted him to do this, but regrets that he did it. I don't know. It could have a lot of different meanings. I don't think it's. Well, I don't know. To me, it's not something like, you know, she forgot what color his eyes are. It's that there's some duality there. He has his foot in two different worlds.
I like that there are so many echoes of what, and it's in reverse, right? So you see the dream first before you see the reality. Mm-hmm. But once you know that it was a dream that you were seeing, I love the echoes that you pick up in different scenes or dialogue or just visuals of things that happened in Diane's reality, but are also happening, either echoes or mashups or twisted versions of that in the dream.
It's like my Godzilla dream, where it's like we were all hanging out, but we weren't hanging out here. We were hanging out at my uncle's house.
Right.
But it's a real place.
Yep.
You guys wouldn't necessarily
we wouldn't be there.
Would never have been there.
Yeah, right. That's just like
the
that.
connection my brain made. Like, we're there.
Yeah. And Aunt Ruth.
Just like Coco. Coco was the manager of the apartment complex in the dream.
Exactly.
But in real life, she's the director's mother.
That's right. Yeah. Or that Aunt Ruth is dead. She's not in Canada. She did.
Yep.
Yeah, I think Aunt Ruth is dead.
She said
they say she's dead in the party.
She's like, my Aunt Ruth is dead. Yeah.
I missed that.
Yeah, no, she is dead.
Oh.
All right, so do we have any more to add about the synopsis before we do the question, the clues?
I have 3 questions.
Okay. Wow. 3.
They're simple.
Okay.
But not really.
Questions 3.
Who is the hobo and or what does he represent? Don't answer yet.
Okay.
2, what is the blue box? And 3, why is Camilla the one that opens the box?
Right, because if it's Diane's dream, why wouldn't she have been there when Rita opened the box?
Mm-hmm.
So, I think the hobo represents the ugly truth. He's literally ugly. You can try to hide him. You can stuff him behind the diner, but he doesn't go away. He's still there.
Yeah.
And he's real. So to me, that's what I think the hobo is.
That aligns with what I thought.
I could get behind that.
I was going to say he represents reality.
Yeah. The ugly truth.
Yeah.
And it's terrifying.
Yes.
It kind of is,
You don't want to look at it. You don't want to.
Oh, my
you
God.
can't confront it. If you confront it, you'll just.
But it's always there.
Fear.
You know it's there because just like the guy said, he can see it through the wall. It never goes away.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're all on the same page
I
there,
think so.
right? What is the box?
What's in the box?
What's in the box?
Not what's in the box. What is the box?
What is the box? I don't know, because to me, the box also represents... when you see the box and when the box gets unlocked, again, it's reality.
Right. The dream's over when the box gets opened.
That's right. What I think, my 2 cents, is that the box is the link between the dream world and reality.
Yeah, okay.
It appears in Betty's purse. I keep fucking up all the names in my head. It's like, what was her name at this time of the movie? It appeared in the box. The box appeared in her purse in Club Silencio because that was kind of like the I don't want to say it was a turning point, but it kind of was. It was almost like it was signifying it was time for her to wake up.
Right, like the dream was telling her none of this is real.
Yes.
Well, it's almost like turning the camera on yourself. It's like, hey, we're going to point this situation out to you. You need to look at this now.
Yes.
Like, you're in a place where this isn't reality. This is not real. This is not happening in real time. This pre-recorded. This is a dream.
Yeah.
So.
But I think that's why it showed up at that time. And then the gate, the box is the gate.
The gate.
It's that door.
The link.
Between dream world and real world.
All right.
And just to finish my thought, because it ties in with the third point, I think Camilla has to open the box because she's the one that severs the connection of the dream world and the real world. Betty vanishes, right?
Yeah.
Because she's left that world. She's waking up.
Oh, so you think that at that point Rita's like the remnant of the dream?
Yes. That's my That's my thought.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I also think there's something there that Rita / Camilla is a warped reflection of Betty / Diane.
Yeah, there's
I
that
think
whole
that
aspect.
they are almost the same person.
Well, they are.
Yeah.
There's a lot of symbolism there, the good side and bad side, and how they swap.
Just
Or
like, what
there's
was that?
The good
movie
side and the
watched?
blank slate when she has a concussion.
Yep. I do. I think there's a lot of duality of man there. They're not. Oh, they're not quite two separate people.
Well,
it could be that Diane hated who she became. That Rita was, or Camilla was who she became. You know, it's just, especially with the blonde hair and the.
I think it.
I don't know.
You don't have to interpret the movie that way. You can take it as read that they're two separate people.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think they are the same person. They're two halves or two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
And I think the movie heavily suggests that.
Yeah.
You know, just that scene where she has to, she puts on that wig when she has to. Why does she have to do that? Because she believes people are after her and she has to disguise herself. So she disguises herself almost exactly like, but not quite the same as Betty.
Right.
It's just really odd.
Yeah. You want to go through the clues now?
So yeah,
let's do the clues.
There's a lot of information here. I'm not going to read all of it.
Yeah, no.
Although maybe I will. So, all right, the clues.
Yeah.
Clue number 1 was and is pay particular attention to the beginning of the film. At least 2 clues are revealed before the credits.
There's not a lot before the credits.
There's not, but
there's the pillow.
2 significant things.
And the dancing.
The jitterbug contest, which is the first thing you see at the beginning of the film. So I'm trying to think of how to not go into super detail here. But it's saying the dance contest was a stepping stone for Diane to move to Hollywood and pursue an acting career.
That's how she discovered, right?
We hear again of it at Adam's dinner party at the end of the film. And she mentions that she won a contest. She won that jitterbug contest, and that's what got her over.
That's right. But the jitterbug that you see is weird. Like, people are clipping in and out of each other. It doesn't look real.
It's like you see the same couple like multiple times.
Yep.
Like at the same time.
And like people will be in the foreground, but then they'll clip into the background. It's very weird.
Yeah, it is weird because Betty is shown bathed in the spotlight as the scene fades into Diane's bedroom. We see images, which is the beginning of the film, right? Mm-hmm. We see images of dancing pairs while Betty, aside from the 2 old people, is seen without a partner.
Right.
Irene and her male companion, so Irene's the old lady, the old people, and her male companion are apparently a manifestation of Diane's good/innocent side. In order of appearance, the credits list Betty well before Diane. This means that the partnerless jitterbug we see is Betty. This fact is supported by someone shouting, "Betty, Betty," off screen right before the scene fades into Diane's bedroom.
Okay.
Does this mean that Diane is spinning a yarn when she tells us that she won a jitterbug contest, or was the contest real but just represented to us differently than how it happened? I would opt for the latter.
Yeah.
I would say the jitterbug happened. Blah, blah,
And then the
blah.
pillow. That's the big clue.
Well, yeah, right before the camera zooms in on the pillow, it seems to focus on the area of the floor where the blue box later disappears at Havenhurst, the apartment. We hear a noise that distinctly sounds like cocaine being snorted, followed by the sound of someone breathing hard, falling into the pillow. I don't know.
That just might have been a deep breath. It just sounded like a sigh more than...
I think so. I think it was like a deep breath before sleep.
Somebody's taking a little license there.
So, again, the clue, the very opening scene, that jitterbug contest is something...
Is weird.
And, well, it's weird, but it's an important point in Betty's trajectory, right?
Okay.
And then there's the pillow and the bed, which is a major point.
That's the big one to me.
Yeah. All right, 2, notice the appearance of the red lampshade. Another clue to the viewer that we have at least 2 alternate realities. At least 2. In Diane's dream, the red lampshade appears at the end of a phone call chain in the middle of Hollywood's Byzantine conspiracy. The call is not being answered, and here are some possible interpretations. So just to talk about that, there was a point where there's a phone call being made with these weird, like, executives.
Yeah.
And there's a middleman who answers the phone and makes another phone call.
And it seemed like they were talking about Rita being missing.
Yeah, and she needs to be replaced.
Right.
And that's like, I think Betty or Diane's interpretation of bigwig Hollywood, the executive.
Definitely.
Executive
Yeah,
level.
just making up a story.
It's all about who you know.
Yeah.
You don't have to make it on merit.
But there are these shadowy men in weird, shadowy rooms making weird, shadowy decisions. Yes.
Yeah. That have nothing to do with talent.
No.
But the red lampshade, one possibility is a visual clue that's pretty obvious to us, the viewers, that Betty/Diane is the last in this pyramid scheme of Hollywood behind the scene operators.
It seems like a stretch.
This is reality poking its head in Diane's dream, reminding herself that it was she who arranged the accident, both literally when she arranged the hitman to kill Camilla, and figuratively when she created a better version of Camilla in her dream.
The red lampshade is in Diane's apartment. And in the dream world, when anyone tries to call and you see a picture of that red lampshade, nobody picks up the phone.
The phone goes unanswered because Diane is unwilling to acknowledge that she is indeed the one and only creator.
Because Diane is sleeping.
The viewers
and
themselves
dreaming.
only make the connection hours later when we see another shot of Diane's phone.
Right. And then when Diane is up and about and in her apartment and in reality, and we see the phone and the red lampshade, we see Diane pick up the phone and we're like, we've seen that before. So.
Then another one is the call is meant for Diane Selwyn in the fantasy sequence, but it remains unanswered as her body lies decaying in Sierra
there you
Bonita.
go. Yeah, she's dead. She's not going to pick up the phone.
They call for the real Diane Selwyn. Blah, blah, blah. I don't know. There's a bunch.
Yeah, there's a lot. Okay.
2, when Diane Selwyn wakes up and thinks of Camilla, we learn that the phone by the red lampshade is actually her own home telephone. Right. When she answers it, Camilla invites her to 6980 Mulholland. Yep. More red lampshades. So inside the corner shop at Pink's, in connection with the prostitute who looks like a doppelganger of Diane, it could symbolize Diane being subjected to prostitution. Is she a call girl living a double life? There are some types you can make there. I mean, there's a reason why that prostitute girl was in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting like...
Yeah, but that's how this works. It is. There are a lot of, like, nothing is in these movies of his that...
I know, but I don't want to get into the little minutia. I wanted to stay on the bigger stuff because we have to talk about it.
Well, we are talking about
All
it.
right.
What do you want?
Nothing. Go ahead.
There's a blue lampshade on the table in Mr. Roke's room, who I guess is one of the executives that we see in the dream sequence. Is the blue and red kind of a yin yang symbolism, whatever.
Well, blue seems to be the symbol for reality, and red and black, the characters wearing red and black are in the dream are representative of the dream. Like Coco wears red and black all the time. Rita wears red and black all the time. When they're in Club Silencio, both girls one wears red and one wears black. So those seem to be like dream non-reality colors. And the blue box and the blue key represent the real thing.
But that's weird because in the fantasy world, that lamp is blue. In that room, there's something there. All right. 3. Can you hear the title of the film that Adam Kesher is auditioning actresses for?
I was listening for it. I didn't catch it.
I did not hear it.
Is it mentioned again? So we do. We do hear it.
Yeah.
And it's another hint that we deal with alternate realities. We hear on the set that Adam Kesher is auditioning for the leading role in the Sylvia North story.
Oh, which is...
A stagehand announces the Sylvia North story. Camilla Rhodes, take 1. Just about when blonde Camilla walks in. This movie is mentioned again by Diane at Adam's dinner party. Wilkins tells that Rob Brooker directed the Sylvia North story and Camilla was great in it. And that's how they met. We learned that that's how Diane and Camilla meet and became friends. So judging from the title, the Sylvia North story is presumably a tragic story of a fallen starlet for which both Diane and Camilla were auditioning, which is kind of ironic to their ends. 4, an accident is a terrible event. Notice the location of the accident.
Mulholland Drive.
Well, yeah. So, and we kind of already talked about this earlier, but on the way to 6980 Mulholland, which is Adam Kesher's house, it's the place where Diane is picked up by Camilla, following her hand in hand through the secret passage. It's really just a secret path. She does say secret path. Diane thought that maybe Camilla was interested in reconciling with her after all, and didn't know about the surprise announcement at the party where Camilla and Adam are going to get married.
Which seems cruel, because she knows that Diane is, like, in love with her.
Well, yeah. Camilla is cruel.
Did they actually come out and say married, or is that just
it cuts away before they say anything?
Yeah. The party turned out to be a horrible humiliation for Diane. And that's what triggers her to call out a hit.
Who was Louise?
Louise.
In the dream. Remember in the dream, Louise was the lady who also lived in the apartment complex and was like, something bad's going to happen.
She was like a little Cassandra. She was like a little truth teller.
But did she show up in the real world?
No, I mean, she had echoes of the hobo. The same, like, hooded...
No, but it could just be, like, people know. People,
like have guilt or paranoia.
Yeah.
It's like, someone knows. Yeah.
So, I don't know. There's a lot of things you can go into there, but the location of the accident is at that house. It's a tragic event, right?
Right.
In both the dream.
It's a traumatic event.
Yeah.
For Diane.
Who gives a key and why?
So the first key that's given is, I think, Coco.
Yep.
In the dream.
Coco's the first from Aunt Ruth to Betty to enter the dream world.
Right.
Right. The hitman.
The blue
key to confirm the deal is done. Those are key givers. People that we see giving the key. Who gets the key? So Rita gets in her bag with the hit money.
And Diane.
Diane wants to transfer her guilt. There is no way Betty would carry it in the dream. Which is an interesting take on that.
I can see that.
And then Diane on her coffee table.
Right.
Probably she retrieved it from somewhere else. Meaning we don't know where the hitman left the key, but it's not really important.
No.
Only one key is given in the film. The key that Coco gives to Betty. The hitman doesn't give a key. He leaves it for Diane. Moreover, Betty doesn't touch Rita's blue key either. Whoever wrote this says there's a sleight of hand going on here. The viewers are lured to focusing on the blue keys, but neither is ever given. Betty is given the key to Aunt Ruth's apartment because Aunt Ruth is dead, just as Diane is given another key because Camilla is dead. So if the Coco key is a clue, then Coco's relationship with the two main protagonists needs further examination. All right, notice the robe, the ashtray, and the coffee cup.
Those are all timeline issues.
They're chronological narration elements used for time references in real time.
And they were helpful.
And they were helpful, and we don't need to talk about that anymore. What is felt, realized, and gathered at the Club Silencio?
Then nothing is happening in real time.
Yeah, so what is felt is, love, unreturned love, pain, tears,
Sadness,
loss, fear,
yeah.
compassion,
Sad.
all those feelings. What is realized, everything is an illusion.
It's a lie.
The dream wasn't reality,
Right.
it's lies, Hollywood is fake, the dream is over.
Right.
And what is gathered, Betty gets a blue box with a triangular keyhole in her bag.
Okay.
Did talent alone help Camilla?
You know what it almost kind of reminds me of?
What?
Like, do you guys wake up with an alarm? Do you have an alarm clock? Mm-hmm. Have you ever had a situation where you're in a dream and you can hear the alarm in the dream?
Yep.
And it's like, oh crap, and then all of a sudden you snap out of it?
I always wake up before my alarm. It's weird.
No,
So
I've
it's
done
almost
that,
like
yeah.
the blue box is the alarm
Sure.
creeping into the dream.
Yeah.
Like, hey,
Being like, excuse me, time to wake up. Yeah, definitely.
Or it's like the key, which is what allows that box to open and you go through it back. You know what I mean?
The box is the key. Is that what you're saying?
The alarm is the key
Oh,
and not the box.
yes. Got it.
Did talent alone help Camilla?
No.
No. And this goes into detail. The blonde Camilla, raven-haired Camilla, blah, blah, blah. But no. Note the occurrences surrounding the man behind Winkies. So
That's the hobo.
the hobo. Dan meets the face of this god-awful feeling. He dies from a heart attack after seeing the monster. So that happens in the dream. Near the end of the film, after the hit on Camilla is settled at Winkies,
She
we see
sees
the
the
monster
monster.
again.
She
It's
kills herself.
not a monster anymore. It's a pathetic bum, stripped of everything, sad and disheveled. We see, again, it's the same person. It's just different interpretation. We see that he is just one more person, transformed into something else by Diane's dream. But wait, the homeless man is a monster in her reality too. He's unleashing the miniatured couple of old people who then drive Diane to commit suicide. Though Diane wished she'd never had seen his face outside of her dream, it's been there all along. After Diane's death, we see the monster superimposed on top of the smoke, and then we see his face fade out while Diane/Betty's face fades in. This last appearance of this man is especially instructive because with the connection between his face and Diane's face, we are being told that this monster is yet another persona of Diane. And so we realize that it is not a man at all.
It's the ugly
He
truth.
is a she. I stick with that. I think it's the ugly truth. And
inconvenient.
lastly,
Lastly,
where is Aunt Ruth?
she's dead.
So in Diane's dream, Aunt Ruth is redeemed and shoots a film in Canada. She's letting Diane stay in her apartment.
It's nice
in
of her.
reality, as we learn at that dinner pool party thing, Aunt Ruth is dead, but
Poor
left
Aunt
her an
Ruth.
inheritance.
Which she squandered.
So it says
don't
that
know
there's
that.
a clue. I mean, I think it's obvious they spell it out, but it says there's a black hat popping up in Aunt Ruth's bedroom,
Mm-hmm.
resting on the bureau in the scene where Rita gets undressed. Does it belong to a funeral outfit? There is an old joke in the movie business. Acting in Canada is being dead.
There you go. That's good then.
So
That's clever.
I didn't know that.
Well, there's also
didn't
the
either.
black hat in the hat box that they stashed
Yeah.
yeah,
Rita's person.
yeah.
There is. Yes.
But I think that joke,
Acting in
blah blah's
Canada.
acting in Canada means that they're dead.
They're dead.
Ruth shows off at the Havenhurst apartment. Ruth shows up at the Havenhurst apartment right at the end of the dream after Rita vanishes. She is dressed the same way she left in the beginning. So possible interpretations of that. It's Aunt Ruth's ghost somehow interacting with Diane's
ghost.
fantasy
Stop.
in the same way that
Stop.
Louise Bonner and Dan at Winkies could. In her lucid, or alternately, in her lucid dream state, Diane tries to rewind the dream. It has broken down with the disappearance of Betty and Rita, but her mind apparently doesn't want to let go of the fantasy. It's almost like she picked up the story from the point of Aunt Ruth coming back to her apartment for something at the beginning of the film, and like we talked about earlier. The message we are being given is that Diane is not looking forward to going back to her real life, so she's fighting that transition back.
And she doesn't want to wake up.
No.
Yeah. Diane dreams of her aunt coming home from Canada to find her
Acting in Canada.
meeting Betty disappeared, just as in the beginning where Ruth and Betty missed another at Havenhurst, blah, blah, blah. So I don't know. The last of Lynch's clues asks, where is Aunt Ruth? And the last scene of the movie presents us with the blue-haired woman. Is she Aunt Ruth in her afterlife?
No, stop.
No, I don't think so.
That is not Aunt Ruth. Aunt Ruth had red hair. They mention it.
Here's another. The movie is actually placed in the 1950s.
Oh, my
Betty
God.
/Diane
Please
is
kill me.
Aunt Ruth in her young years. It's her story.
Okay.
Thus about when Rita opens the blue box,
what
Betty
a
disappears.
twist. Did
She
M. Night
rematerializes as Aunt Ruth
Shyamalan
an
write
instant
this?
later to indicate the dream is over.
Is
What
it the
a
wind?
twist.
The wind did it.
Yeah, no. Aunt
gonna
Ruth
outrun
is
the wind.
acting in Canada. She's dead.
She's acting in Canada.
She's
I'm going
dead.
to use that.
Anyway, that's all 10.
Hey, I think we did a good job with the clues.
I would say.
There's more,
Right?
but yeah, I mean, we don't need no sticking explanation.
No,
from
we
somewhere
made,
else.
we made our own explanations, and ours were better
And
than
it's-
that.
I agree.
Like I said, it's been a long time since I've watched this.
Mm-hmm.
I never felt more comfortable
Right?
with what's going on
Like, I
than
got
this moment.
Not a problem.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a David Lynch movie, but it seems like one of the more accessible ones. If it's like a beginner puzzle.
You still need,
some of
but you
It's a
know,
level 2.
like I'm not going to pretend that I didn't see some people's theories. Some of them were way more outlandish than others.
Sure.
But the common thing was this has to be some kind of dream or fantasy. And so going into it this time, I'm like, yep, that's got to be it. That makes sense to me. And then all the other little clues and puzzle pieces
Yeah.
fit together. Like I didn't just.
But see, I didn't do any research
that.
at all before we watched this, even though I knew this
Yeah,
was.
but you've seen this movie
was
like
your
5
pick.
times.
But I never got it until now.
Oh.
And yeah, I had seen it more recently than you, but it's still been a little while. And what clued me in at the beginning, which I just must have overlooked every single time, like the jitterbug thing, I never really got until this time.
The jitterbug.
I was like, what the fuck? And then
Look at
it was the pillow.
The pillow.
It's like
Someone's going to sleep.
Someone
It's a
going to sleep.
dream. Yep.
How I miss that every other time I've seen the
'cause
movie,
you-
I have no idea. But it's just you're like, oh, what's that? I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
What's the next thing?
Right.
But yeah,
That's great. And I
did
would
it.
say, Forgotten Dreams, I would say it fits the theme.
Oh yeah, right. Those
yeah.
are her forgotten dreams or destroyed dreams.
Right.
Smashed.
I don't know that they
dreams.
were rekindled necessarily, but we talked about last week how I don't know that needs to be a component of this.
well,
No.
rekindled doesn't necessarily mean successful,
Yeah.
right?
She tried to rekindle them. She
Yeah.
tried to remember them, but
Yeah.
alas, she died. She's acting in Canada now. Carl, what would you rate this?
I would. This is a great movie.
Yeah.
I'm solid 4 streeps.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it 4 out of 5 washed up actresses.
Yep.
It's tough though. Like you really gotta.
You gotta. It's a multi-watch.
It
Like
is.
I'd be surprised if somebody got a handle on it after the first watch.
And you know,
Yeah.
like I don't know that I'd need to see it again. Like I don't know if I would ever seek it out again now that I've unlocked it.
It's like those puzzles. Once you've solved one of
Yeah,
those
it's like
puzzles,
I did it. I did it.
you're not gonna take it. You know the secret.
I know the secret.
See, when we were watching the movie, there was a scene where you're in Diane's apartment in reality, and you see it, and it really reminded me of this other series of shorts that Lynch did called Rabbits, and I always thought it was associated with Mulholland Drive, but it's not. It was actually used in Inland Empire. But why I thought it was related to Mulholland Drive is that it came out in 2002, which is when Mulholland Drive came out, and Naomi Watts is in the Rabbits shorts doing voice acting in it, and she's starring in this movie.
Oh.
If you haven't seen that, it's on YouTube, all 8
don't
episodes,
remember it.
and if you own Inland Empire, it's on the DVD.
It's on there.
Criterion put that out.
My favorite David Lynch thing besides Twin Peaks is What Did Jack Do? I love that. That's a short. That's on Netflix.
Rabbits is unsettling.
I don't remember it.
Didn't they release? And it's super out of print, but didn't they release a collection of all of his like early shorts and
The lime green box.
experimental shit?
Yeah. lime green. Sometimes you can find it on eBay, but that's long. That's out of print.
Yikes. All right, Carl's got to spin the wheel.
I gotta
Although
know.
there's what, 7 men being sick or something like that.
The Seven Dwarfs.
They released it. It was a lot of his stuff when he was early filmmaker and
Film student.
and student. Yeah.
Yeah, I need to know what my shakeup is gonna be.
Carl, are you ready to spin the
hang
wheel?
on, let me
Limber
stretch.
up, buddy.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, ready?
I'm gonna spin with my legs,
With gusto.
not with my back. All right,
Spin.
Your legs.
spin it.
Ready to go.
Here we go.
Whoa. This is a quiet spin
No
today.
bankrupt. No bankrupt.
Silent.
Okay, must have won an award.
Oh, a major award?
It
Like a
doesn't say
leg lamp?
major.
Any award.
Any
It's a
award.
major award.
Must have won an award.
Oh.
All
So
right.
Forgotten Dreams.
Forgotten Dreams, and it has to have won an award.
Any award.
Any award.
Best soundtrack, best art direction,
MTV award for
Okay.
Best Kiss,
a Razzie.
a Fangoria award.
Okay, all right. Oh, you got a lot
It
to
could
work
be-
with here.
Yeah. Okay.
Almost too much.
Okay.
Okay. Any immediate ideas? You don't have anything off the top of your head?
I mean, I had some movies I was considering because usually what
Yeah.
I'll do when we spin the theme is I'll say, okay, let me find some movies that I think fit the theme.
And then
And then once I get the shake up, it's like, all right, are all these still in play or any of them still in play?
I like that technique.
I got to look through my contenders to see.
Okay. All right. Well, everyone.
And I do not think my mom would like this movie.
Oh, no, my mom wouldn't like this movie.
No.
No.
Not at all.
Nope.
And that's okay.
That is okay.
Other than the lesbian sex scenes.
Can't. Okay.
I'm just kidding. My mom
All right.
wouldn't like those either.
I'm just kidding.
I don't want people to start wondering about my mom.
All right. Well, thanks for listening. We're in a dream within a dream. But who is the dreamer? We're all going to be soon. 'Cause
Oh, yeah.
It's time to go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm going to turn into a pumpkin.
All right. Goodbye, everybody. Talk at you next week. Thanks for listening.
All right. Goodbye.
Bye.